Welcome to this episode of Eyes Closed. My name is Capucine, and I'm so happy to welcome you into this space where we lead beautiful conversations with ourselves and with others. And today, I am so happy to welcome you into the reality that is Denisse, known under the name of Sugarxndspice. And she's a wonderful Akashic Records reader. She's a channeler. She has been communicating with the records and with different beings. We talk about this today. She's a tarot reader for all occasions, whether you're waiting for your love or whether you're actively seeking out your love. If you are pregnant and you want to get to know your baby's soul and many other life events, she's here for you. In this conversation, I'm so glad to meet with Denisse Enroll, with Denisse's life, whether it's her ancestry, her past lives, or considering her work. It's been beautiful, and it's been so beautiful that we are already meeting again for another episode. Sit back, relax, and get ready to discover a wonderful being. This is your Christmas gift from us to you. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday season. Thank you.
Welcome, Denisse, to Eyes Closed. I'm so happy to welcome you in this space. Welcome. Thank you for your time.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you. Like we've discussed earlier, I'm really excited because it's my first time on a podcast. So I don't really know what to expect, but I'm definitely going to just be present and do my best to, create something of value for your listeners.
You will, and I'm sure it's not the last interview that you will have on a podcast. I'm so sure of it. It's like, So I want to ask you, do you want to present yourself in any kind of words? Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes. My name is Denisse. I've kind of built an identity around myself as Sugarxndspice, pronounced sugar and spice, for quite a couple years now. So, if you want to call me that, that's fine. I'll answer to that. And I am currently an Akashic Records practitioner, a tarot reader, and kind of working on the energetic healing spectrum as well. I am 24 years old. A lot of the time it feels like I'm a lot older than that. And yeah, I'm currently based in Southern California, so life isn't too hard out here. It's not too easy, but it's not too hard. And yeah, I love what I do. I'm a full-time spiritual practitioner. And yeah, I guess I'm a Gemini sun, Cancer moon, Aries rising, if that helps anyone. Yeah, I think that's a solid tidbit there.
Thank you. Welcome, Gemini. So I want to know, how did your journey start? How did your spiritual journey start? What took you out of the matrix and, made you discover this new realm?
I think I was one of those special souls that decided to get rattled, with fear. Because my awakening was pretty brutal, honestly. And it came at a time when I thought I had it all, basically. Yeah, I would say, 2017 was a really great year for me. It was a year I built the brand Sugarxndspice. And back then, I do a lot of what I'm doing now, except on a different front. I was doing teaching sociology concepts to minority communities and doing a lot of work in the social justice realm, I guess. So I was heavily involved in politics. And I graduated college. And that was really cool. I started working for a lawyer. I was preparing for law school. So, I had a really great group of friends. So I really did think that I had it all. So the following year on my birthday in 2018, I rarely prayed, but for some reason I felt called to pray. And, I thought I had so much. And I thought of myself as enlightened even back then, where I was like, no one can tell me anything because I know about myself. So I prayed for less than what I had. I was like, you know what, God, like, I can't really ask you for more than I have right now. Like, I'm pretty content. So I'm going to ask you to take away what doesn't serve me, or what just isn't for me, like you see higher than I do. So whatever around me isn't conducive towards the person I want to be, just like go ahead and take it away. It's cool, thinking that, the entity I had grown up around that was known as God, I thought that God was going to take away like my insecurities or like my anger issues. But then the very next day, I had a fight with my best friend of like 2-3 years. And I was like, whoa, like, hold on. And something about me just knew that was an answer to the prayer. And I was just like, whoa, okay. Like, I just, from one night to the next, I saw the friendship for what it was. And then it kind of spiraled down from there. Towards the end of the year in September, she and I were no longer friends. And I was totally fine with that. I was like, oh, I feel so free. And yeah, like my job started no longer resonating. And I kept seeing what people call angel numbers, the repeating number sequences. And this was around September. So then to make myself feel better, I would talk to the numbers because I was like, look, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing, but if you want to fight me, I'll fight you. I was picking fights with numbers. And finally, I was just kind of like, look, dude, like, whoever is out there trying to communicate with me, I don't get it. I've never been a math person. I don't understand numbers. So you're going to have to find a way to email me, text me. I don't know, but like, I'm not doing this. And then that same night, I dreamt my first tarot deck. And then I waited 3 days because I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And then I waited 3 days, but then my coworker at the time was like, you should get a crystal if weird, like if you're just feeling weird, get a crystal and see if that helps balance you out. And she was kind of like the cosmic woo-woo person in the office. And I ended up going to a shop she recommended, and the man was waiting there with my deck under lock and key. And he gave it to me. And he was just like, are you a Leo or are you a Gemini? I was like, I'm a Gemini. He was like, okay, that's what you're here for then. And I was just like, how, like, do you want to fight? Like, who do you know? I was like, how do you know me? But yeah, so I started crying. And then he sat me down and he was just like, look, like you're being called. It is what it is. You're going through what's called a spiritual awakening. And he wasn't really a mentor because that was really the only time I met with him. But the best piece of advice he gave me ever was throw away the guidebook. So I learned tarot just intuitively by myself in my room, and that made a lot more sense to me than the numbers did. So that's kind of how my journey started. And then, I called my mom and I was freaking out. I was like, I'm having visions, I'm possessed, I'm scared. It was challenging for sure, because I went from a girl that thought she had everything, that also kind of thought she knew everything, to knowing nothing at all and having to start over. So it was really challenging. But my mom was just kind of like, oh yeah, your grandma did healing stuff, and and then she was really helpful in kind of de-escalating the fear. She was like, you're not crazy, your aunts have been having prophetic dream forever and blah blah blah, and your grandma always said that you had the gift, and I guess here we are. But yeah, so that was really helpful. And then in retracing my ancestry and things like that, I've been able to kind of pinpoint where this stuff comes from. But yeah, and now I'm here.
Can we talk about your ancestry? Do you want to share about like what you found and how maybe it made you feel connected to them and like connected to your roots? Do you want to talk about how does it look like now, you and your work with your ancestors?
Yeah, well, the first one I worked with was my grandmother. Um, I just, I feel like I never really saw her at first with my visions, but I just knew it was her. I was like, Grandma, like you cannot not be minding your business. Like, rest in peace, you know what I mean? Like, but go and rest in peace, like mind your business. And I just knew that my grandma was like, no. um, so she was a very helpful guide to me in making me feel safe to ask the tarot questions and to try to attempt to get closer to her roots, as well as because she's my maternal grandmother, so as well as my father's side of the family, whom I lost contact with way long ago when my family came to the US. So, I've always known that I was indigenous, um, on both sides of the family, really. And also French. So, hey, girl.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. On my, we or something. Yeah, on my mom's side, that mestizo life. Um, and so I kind of started retracing the indigenous groups that were living near my grandmother's home in Michoacan. It's like a tiny pueblo out there. And, you know, we found, me and my friend, who I do want to give a shout out to, Claudia, who was instrumental in helping me do the research of where I come from. And yeah, we found the Purepecha tribe, quite a few Toltec and Aztec and Mayan rooted civilizations kind of near the general vicinity of where my family was from. And I ended up attending my first native ceremony, introducing myself to the elders and just kind of filling them in on what was going on. At the time, I didn't really think of formally joining the tribe. As much as I was just looking for help, I was just like, what's happening to me? Why is it happening to me specifically? And, what am I supposed to do with this? At the time, my third eye was busted wide open. So I was seeing things that I felt I shouldn't be seeing. So I was freaking out. And, the elders were just kind of like, oh man, like, it's cool, girl. Like, we all do something like that around here. And, the energy healing that I experienced, being within, it's called a Huichol ceremony. It's a Huichol native ceremony, and it was beautiful. Everything about it resonated. For me, they worship the deer spirit, and I had a doe spirit guide that kept following me at the time. Like, it was just there all the time. And I was just like, what do I do? Like, do I help you? Like, what do I do here? And they heal via fire, and that resonated very deeply with me because I kept dreaming of fire at the time. And yeah, it was very beautiful. I experienced energetic healing for the first time with the elders, and it clicked for me. That's when I understood. I was like, this is what my grandma did. I get it, except that my grandmother didn't use tools like feathers or fire or smoke or anything. She used prayer. She used vocalized prayer, but it was beautiful to know that, that's where it all came from. Like, it really clicked, and I was like, okay, this is where I belong. Like, this is it right here. So yeah, now I attend ceremony as often as I can, just to reconnect with my ancestors and um, shed all of the bells and whistles of the human experience. Ceremony and connecting with my indigenous side is where I really learned that sometimes you don't have to do anything. You don't have to work. Sometimes it's enough to just know and to just be and be in silence, and mark the time without your phone, but mark the time in you know, being together around a fire with people and, you know, what time is it? I don't know. Where's the moon? And those kinds of things were really cool. It really brought me back to center to what I feel really mattered to me at my core, but that I had just kind of lost along the way. Um, yeah, now I'm here, so feels good.
So beautiful that your grandmother was using prayer and it all started with prayer for you. That's so
It
wonderful.
did. It all started with prayer, and even now, opening the Akashic Records, I do so via prayer. Um, I do so via prayer. I start my tarot readings with a prayer, and I've been practicing energy healing because I know I did sign up for your class. I've been trying to catch up, and as I've been, you know, just experimenting with myself and my energetic healing abilities, I noticed that I experience Reiki and just energy healing in general with words as well. In addition to visions, I do feel better using my voice. You know, I caught myself saying things like, "You're safe, you're okay now." And I was just like, wow, like that's really, really profound. And I've never experienced Reiki with words before. I'm sure people do it, but it felt right to me to talk myself through it, where I was like, "You're fine, everything's okay, you're safe now." And that changed the game for me. Once I started talking during my own energetic healing sessions, it changed the profundity of it and the depth and how good it felt. So there's just something in my family that comes
Yeah.
from prayer, and I'm not gonna ask any questions. I'm just going to take my blessings and go. Like, I found what works for me, and I'm just gonna, you know, run with it. Yeah, I'm just gonna run with it and be like, "Yep, thank you."
That's so wonderful. I've never heard of this, you know, like we all say clairaudience, clairvoyance, and all those things. Like this is you through speech. It's like you get this through speaking. Such a Gemini thing as well, but wonderful. So good. So good. That's wonderful. How would you call that? Claire speaking? Claire voice? Yeah,
Ooh, I don't
we
know.
just make up a word. Yeah, let's see. So, because you talked about the Akashic Records, I want to jump into it. What I loved when you describe the angel numbers is that you speak directly with them. You're not like, oh, 222, what does it mean? You're like, what is that? Like, what are you trying to say to me? And I love this because whenever you channel your messages, it really shows that you are directly speaking with source. And when you're talking with dragons, for example, and we can talk about this later, but you are directly talking with them on the same level. And you're not like creating a whole like pedestal kind of vision of they are here, I am there. And I love this. You're close to them. You're directly speaking with them. I want to speak about the Akashic Records now. What's your experience? How do how do you dabble into this dimension, and what do bring it into? How do you bring it into your work?
You know, the Akashic Records came to me as suddenly as tarot did, you know, and the way they came into my life was almost exactly the same. There was again, just in my fear, I was going to spiritual bookshops and I was like, "Am I possessed? What's going on? Is there any books you can recommend?" And, you know, a book on telepathy fell off a bookshelf and hit the person that was trying to help me. And I was like, I just knew. I was like, "What book is that specifically?" Because it was really high above us, you
Mm.
know, and I was like, "I think that book just assaulted you on my behalf." And it was a book on telepathy and written in the 1920s. I think it was just called Telepathy, and it's out of print, and, you know, and I didn't even buy it. I was just like, okay, like, I get it, telepathy. I kind of had an idea of what that was just based off cartoons and stuff. I was like, yeah, you talk to people with your brain, got it. Um, so that clicked for me. And then, you know, a friend at the time was like, "Hey, do you want to run errands with me?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." And then I knew something big was gonna happen that day because I kept getting assaulted with those numbers. It was like 111, 323, but all, like 9 different sequences in like 30 seconds. It was very quick, very fast. And I was like, all right, clearly I'm either going to meet the love of my life, or I don't know, but something major is going to happen today. And, as a reward or whatever for going with him to run these errands, he was like, I'll take you to the bookstore. And I was like, oh, yes. So we ended up at the bookstore, and we went to the astrology section because that's like what I was into at the time. And they had a bunch of little tarot decks, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a new deck. But at the time I was like, no, I'm like, at the time I had this weird thing where I was like, I can only be loyal to one deck. So I didn't want to buy a new one. And there was one book that was out of place on the shelf, and it bothered me. So I picked it up, and it was Akashic Records. And something resonated really deeply with me with just the word records. It wasn't even Akashic that like stole my breath. It was the records part. I was like, ooh, that sounds like it's for me. But I put it back on the shelf, and there was one that was also out of place, and I grabbed it, and then it literally the title was How to Read the Akashic Records. And I was like, this is it. This is what I was waiting for, wasn't it? This is what the whole dramatic number sequences were for, huh? So I sat there and I read it all in one go at the store, like straight up. Yeah, like I read it all in one go, and then I gave it a shot. And thankfully I was able to learn the Akashic Records and develop my relationship with them in a similar way that I did with tarot, where I just kind of winged it. And, I didn't do too much research of how it should or shouldn't be. And I think that's been really helpful because, yeah, I have some elevated vernacular if I want to, because I went to college and stuff, but deep down, I'm still a little girl from the barrio, So I was just like, what's up? Why are you bothering me? And I think that innocence, I guess, that I walked into, that naivety is really what helped, because you're right, like I didn't put them on a pedestal. I knew what I was doing was huge and sacred because it felt important to me. Even if I had said something on Twitter or social media and people shut it down and were like, oh yeah, everyone does that, I still would have been like, but it's so important to me specifically. Yeah, and the masters, teachers, and loved ones within the records have really encouraged this method of relationship where they're just kind of like, hey, like if you have the stamina, there's no reason for you to close us after you're done with your questions. You can just like take us shopping with you. We like to go with you. Like we'll remind you that it's okay to spend money on yourself. We'll, pick up the phone and talk to your friends, and if they need advice or something, like we'll channel straight through. Like your friends are our friends, we'll help. And it's I guess it's more of a casual relationship than people's comfort, I guess. But I don't care because it feels profound. It feels like family to me. Channeling the masters, teachers, and loved ones is really like, it feels like channeling family, where I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm done trying to figure this out by myself, like what's going on. And yeah, I think that relationship has been really beautiful and sincere. And I hope it shows, in the sincerity of the messages that I get to share.
How do you sustain the energy? Because for me, when I'm there, I'm like full of love. I'm like, oh, love, love, lovey-dovey. And I'm looking at people, even in public, like strangers. I'm like, oh, I love you, because I see them.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think I learned to enjoy it. I think it came very naturally to me because I was already a loving person. With, it was just in a more aggressive kind of way, where it was like, I love everyone, therefore I will fight 1,000 wars to make sure that we all have equal opportunity in this country, and really in the world, women and fighting against child labor and stuff like that. Like I was just all about it. And so I always believed in finding the best in someone, because at one point I was considered an undesirable, you know, like I grew up poor, and I'm Mexican, and just all these things, you know, where I technically, you know, am an undesirable, like an underdog. And I always found beauty in our communities, even though they didn't have a lot of money, you know, like people looked out for each other, and people shared food and stories, and we got together every Christmas as a neighborhood, you know, and those things made me feel really warm. And I was always just kind of like, how could someone hate us, you know, if they only knew? And so I always had that ingrained really deeply, where I was like, there's something beautiful and probably wounded in everyone. You know, and I was involved in anti-bullying in high school. Like I was about that life. So I think because I had such a genuine passion and desire for it, that I didn't really experience, um, I guess, discomfort or like weirdness around that real profound like connection that you feel in the Akashic Records, as much as it was what I was already aspiring to feel made real, made manifest. That's what it was for me. I felt like in all of my other work, I was really aspiring for that feeling of unity and profound connection. And when I, you know, busted open the Akashic Records, it was like, I was right. It is real. We are all connected. So it wasn't challenging for me. It was confirmation for me that the feeling I was looking for does exist. And now I just kind of live in that feeling. I'm just kind of like, all right, like, I love you, dude. And if you think that's weird, then, you know, I'm sorry. But I'm sorry for you, but I'm not sorry for saying it. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing it with me. Um, okay, I want to know what your relationship now looks like with consciousness. How do you, as a human, not especially as a professional, but as a human, how are you living life in this reality right now?
Well, I just moved into my first apartment, so
Congrats.
that was huge. Yeah, thank you. You know, my definition of home hasn't always been the safest. It hasn't always been the most, you know, functional. You know, my parents are human. There's some things they messed up. It is what it is. So yeah, I think right now my relationship is just remembering that I don't have to fight anymore, that I'm safe and things are peaceful, and that this is a new challenge for me, is building an identity around peace, um, and finding out how to navigate peace, because I find myself still inviting chaos. And sometimes it's in very small ways where, you know, there's Twitter drama, and it's like Khloe Kardashian said this about Jordan. And I know that I don't care, but because things are so peaceful in my life, I just want to read about drama. So I'm just like, oh my God. Um, yeah, and I used to pride myself on being able to thrive in chaos and find solutions to chaos. You know, like, all right, we're hungry, let's figure it out. There's no money, let's figure it out. This person's abusive, let's figure it out. I thrived in those situations. So now that there's less problems for me to solve, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking
Mhm.
out a little bit because I don't know what peace, like, I don't know how to navigate that because I've never been peaceful before. So it is a challenge, you know, being disciplined and being like, Denise, you do not have to invite chaotic situations just because that's where you think that you shine. You can shine equally bright, if not even brighter, in moments of peace. So just sit down. You don't have to
Mhm.
work every day. You don't have to, you know, chase people. Like, chill. If you don't talk to your best friend for like 3 days, I promise you they haven't abandoned you. Like, you're fine. He's probably studying for finals. Just relax. So I think that's like a weird paradox, but that is where I'm at now. That's my new big fat challenge, is to learn how to be at peace and not feel guilty and not feel like I'm not doing enough. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. But as far as my past and the relationship with family, my definition of home and stability, I think I've definitely just made peace with it. And I made peace that, I can't change certain things. I sometimes I can't even understand certain people, but I still have to accept them. Even if I seek to understand, even if they're committed to misunderstanding me, um, I'm like, okay, I mean, that's cool, but I do have to accept that that is your chosen perception, that is your chosen experience, and I can only help you if you ask. And even then, I can only help you at the level you're willing to receive this help. I can't, you know, perform my best if my best goes over your head and doesn't make an impact on you. Like, that doesn't make sense. So I'm learning to just meet people where they are in every present moment, because, again, I'm a Gemini, so I know that the Capucine I meet with today might be different tomorrow, and that's cool. Like, I can just meet you where you're at in every moment, regardless of who that person is. I think it's important to just kind of stay centered in what they're showing you about themselves in that moment. um just as it just eases the worry and the anxiety to not worry about tomorrow, or did they mean that yesterday? It's like, who cares? Like, as long as they're right here now.
I bow to you. I just bow to you. I needed to hear some of this. Like, to meet them at the level of their perception, as you said yesterday. It's beautiful. Can we talk about the avatar?
Oh my God, yes, please.
All right. I wanna know behind, how you recognize yourself in this character, and how you've, gathered all of his skills and pieces of his character to further your message. And also give you this beautiful energy of, sovereignty, like things. I love that. You know what you know, and you know what you do, and you know how you are, and you are like, this is who I am. Like, I'm not gonna accept less. And I love this. So can we expand on this? I don't have a specific question, but just let's chit chat about it.
No, I'm like, oh my God, thank you for seeing me. Yeah. Um, well, I watched the Avatar when it was running, way back in, I don't know, like 2008 or something like that, on Nickelodeon. But I didn't watch it the whole way through until I was older. And, a friend of mine kept pushing me. He was like, Denisse, you're the Avatar. Like, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. So I finally did. And I was just so impressed and moved by Aang's character, Aang the Avatar, because you know I related to him so deeply because he discovered that his people were victims of genocide, and that has always been a really deep wound for me. That it was so challenging for me to connect to my indigenous roots because they were killed, or they were records have been manipulated, and it's just so hard when half of your family is in the United States and can't go to Mexico, and then the other half of your family is in Mexico and can't come to the US. So, those disconnects were really profound. And so when Aang finds out he's literally the only airbender left, I was like, oh my God, like that, I get that. And then, all of a sudden, he was just a kid. I think he was like 12, and he was just a kid, and they were like, hey, there's a war coming. You're the Avatar now. Congratulations. And Aang is like, I just want to play with the other kids, and that really resonated because I felt like I had to grow up really quickly because my parents didn't really understand English. So I was like 8 years old translating legal documents to my family and appearing in court, you know, for them as translator. I'm like, why would the US let a child do that? But I took responsibility because it was ingrained in me. It was like, Denisse, like you have to do this. Like you have to perform, because if you don't, you know, dad's gonna get taken away or something. And I was like, holy shit, like, sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but I was like, oh my God, like I really have to do this. So it was a lot of responsibility placed on me really young. And the thing I admired about Aang was that he knew and wasn't afraid of this responsibility, because he knew that it was just for him. It's like, okay, like this is my destiny. But in his journey, he made friends, and he retained the fact that he was a child. You know, people, especially elder people, were always so impressed by Aang. They were like, oh my God, it's the Avatar. Put him on a pedestal and, you know, expect him to fix all our problems and stuff, because he is the Avatar. And Aang was like, oh yeah, like, I guess I could, but also I want to go penguin sledding. So saving the world can wait, I guess, because I'm going to go do that first. And I thought that was really cool because, you know, he is just a kid. He's just a kid, and he's holding all this wealth of knowledge and responsibility and destiny and all this stuff. But he was like, yes, I believe in doing the right thing, and yes, I'm gonna get to the bigger things eventually, but it's my right to have a good time and to, you know, be silly and make mistakes and stuff like that. And so I really resonated with Aang's character, especially, you know, half of the elders on the show overestimated him and forgot that he was 12, so they expected way too much of him. And then the other half underestimated him because he was 12 and because he likes to have fun. And I think all Geminis, but me especially, you know, I really relate to that, where half of the people I come across in my work are, you know, their expectations are really, really high. And they want me to have all the answers. And I'm like, dude, I'm just 24. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of experiences I haven't had yet. Like, I'm not a wife yet. I'm not a mother yet. I never became a lawyer, so I didn't have that experience. Like, there's so much, you know, that I still haven't done yet, that like I can't fix that for you at this time. And then the other half is like, you're a fraud. There's no way you can be in the Akashic Records. You're only 24 and blah, blah, blah. Like, the records don't just like fall out of the sky. You have to like work for them. And I was like, well, I mean, I did, you know, technically, but probably not in the way that you want me to. But do I feel that I aspired towards the records? No. Do I feel like I aspired towards unity and total enlightenment of the human condition? Yes. Yes, I did. You know, I graduated and studied sociology, communications, even history for a little while. Like, people and the human experience have always been my passion. So yeah, it's really interesting because Aang was an avatar who went even against the advice of his past lives. The past avatars at one point and on the show are like, you have to kill your oppressor. And Aang decided he was going to be a different kind of avatar, despite what even his past lives told him about it. And so it really empowered me to be like, look, I can be the kind of practitioner that I want to be. And yes, mastering the elements, and to me, the avatar is defined by somebody that masters the human condition, you know, somebody that masters the element of earth and strength and resilience as much as they do the elements of water, you know, profundity, depth, seeing beyond what's in front of you, air, liberation, freedom to express, freedom to change. And, you know, choosing your battles, when to fight, when it's better to let somebody fight by themselves. And yeah, the fire element, destruction is not the enemy. Sometimes destruction is your best friend in certain moments. So to me, the avatar, what I got from it was, oh my God, this is somebody that mastered the human condition by having fun, by making it their own, by choosing what kind of avatar they're going to be, not being told by someone. And if they're told even by their past lives, even by the Akashic Records, you still have free will. So you still get to decide what kind of avatar you're going to be in this life. And if I was able to pull so much of my own experience from that show, I was like, everyone has to watch this. There's no way that this is a kid's show, because watching it as an adult, I saw so much depth, family, grief, victory, how to win in grace and things like that. It was really good. So I really hope, like, if you haven't watched it, go watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, because it's phenomenal.
Everyone, please do this. No, it's really beautiful. I did the same as an adult a few years back, and I was totally into it, but I had no one to talk about it with. I was like, come on, I can't be like blasting about it for 8 hours about this kids show, but so good. It was wonderful. Thank you for sharing this. Do you identify with the way that it's kind of like he has his destiny, and he's being told like, you are the avatar, you have to do this? Do you feel like there's something in you that tells you that you have to at some point forget you're human and then have to complete this destiny?
At first I did, especially with the Akashic Records. It's really hard to stay grounded within that realm, because it's just so different from the one that we experience here. So over there's no competition, there's nothing but support and love, and sometimes discipline. But I mean, it's only perceived discipline, because all the Akashic Records are doing are showing me the total sum of my bad decisions, and I'm like, oh, they're not telling me they're bad decisions. I'm the one that's like, oh, I could have done better. So I think it's just, I think for a while, I was prioritizing my spiritual destiny and the things being asked of me much more than my human condition. But now, now my challenge is like, okay, you did what you had to do very fast, very well, in a very dramatic way, like you like. Now we're asking you to just hang out. Just hang out. Trust that your impact was enough to bring the rest of your desires to you. And be a girl, date, go out, do something dumb, like, we're not saying get arrested, but like, go and have a good time, make a mistake and don't die because of it. Like, you're fine now. So yeah, so I think that goes back to like the avatar thing. Aang had a really healthy balance of, I'm a 12-year-old, but I'm also 112, because I was frozen for 100 years. So like, I definitely know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't mean I have to act on it right away. It means I can like hang out for a couple months, and I'll defeat the Fire Lord or whatever when I get to it. And I think I'm mastering the same approach, where I'm like, okay, I understand what my role is and how I'm contributing to, bringing people back home to themselves. There's really nothing I want to do besides that.
This has no battery soon. I'm just gonna find a way, but don't worry. I
Are you
just
sure
gotta.
you fix it?
Please continue. Don't worry. I will find a solution very quick. Don't worry. I'm listening to you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Um.
So you were talking about Aang again. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I'm like, this is such a mercurial thing, because I'm just like, bloop. Wait. All right. We're just gonna have to start over. What was the question?
So, no, the question was about Aang, and that was so beautiful. I never want to cut what you said, but just before it happened, you were sharing about the fact that he's saying like, I can do this a little bit later. Like I'm 12, I'm 120 years old.
Oh, right.
Like, okay, I mean, I need to see the fire a little, but like in a few months, and then he just hangs out and enjoys. So that's where
Yeah,
you are.
yeah. So that's kind of where I'm going to, because again, the avatar is mastering the human condition, but I also believe that um, transcendence and total enlightenment has some value to some souls. And I think just in my present moment, I'm not really interested in being one of them, as much as I'm interested in staying grounded in reality and helping uh helping others feel invited to the grander conversation. I think that's my role here, is being, again, the avatar, the medium between the spirit worlds and the human worlds, and being that bridge. And there's been ascended masters like Lao Tzu and Jesus Christ that have really gone on to embody total enlightenment. And that's just not where I want to be right now. Is that my chosen experience for my soul? I don't know. I've kind of been scared to look, but I do know that I'm doing enough where I'm at right now, and there's no reason for me to rush towards anything else other than that, because what I'm already doing, I feel, is miraculous and great, because people are seeing this girl that goes out on the weekends and shakes her booty all over social media, but then comes back and drops some really heavy truths about the human condition in the universe, and our place in it, and how to make the best of your unique strengths in this condition. So yeah, I'm like Aang, where it's like, yes, I go out and I play because I'm 24, but at the end of the day, I'm the avatar. Like, I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's really not my interest right now to outrun anybody or anything like that. Like, I just want to hang out, keep developing spiritually, keep developing my capacities. I haven't even scratched the surface of the Akashic Records, I feel, so I just want to continue my work in them, and do that. Yeah, if at some point down the line I'm tired of my human experience and I decide I just want to like fully transcend it or something, I'm sure I'll have the support and guidance to do that. But right now, I'm enjoying being a human. I think it's fun. So why not have some fun, right?
Exactly. Thank you. I want to know, can you tell us about your work, what you offer, what is available for people to, consult you with, and your courses? I mean, just share whatever you want to share.
Yeah, so currently I offer all sorts of tarot readings. I think my favorite one to do right now is almost like towards physical, just because I'm very good with shadow work. So I wanted to challenge myself to do readings that are rooted in the physical. So, if your hair is falling out, if you have a skin condition and doctors can't really figure it out, I love using tarot to possibly identify any emotional or spiritual conflicts that are causing that physical manifestation of illness. I think that's my favorite to do right now. But I do love readings and career and dream interpretations, all that good stuff. I do Akashic Records sessions that are personal and private, where you come in and you get to have a conversation with the records. You can ask them whatever you want, and I I open your records, I channel them, and that's it. Like, I don't try to interpret or direct the energy. I just let it flow. And that's always beautiful, because I feel you really get to experience and see yourself from a place closer to how source and spirit sees you. It's very beautiful. And I also teach. I teach tarot at the beginner level, and I teach intuitive reading, so I teach you how to read energy, I guess, not just cards, but we do start with cards for sure. And then at the intermediate level, where I try to kind of teach more advanced tarot techniques like telling time, answering yes or no questions, things like that with the tarot. And then my latest one is I also teach the Akashic Records. So my first group was sold out, and I'm so grateful for that. And it speaks to how deep and profound the collective need to know and to heal. It's just getting deeper and deeper. Like, you know, humans as a whole are just trying to figure their way out and their way into themselves. And, you know, the Akashic Records they were like, don't doubt us. Like, you're going to do great. It's going to be fine. Like, people are going to be interested. Like, just offer it. So I did, and it's sold out. And my first class is this Thursday, the 12th. So I'm really excited. And I think I'm going to offer that as a monthly course as well, in addition to tarot. So hopefully, you know, it all goes well, but I am optimistic, and, you know, it's time. If the records say it's time, then they know a lot more than I do sometimes. So, like, you're right. Like, it's time then. But yeah, that's what I offer currently, and I love doing it. I'm having a good time.
Congratulations. That's so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. Yes.
Thank you.
I want to know, where can we find you? Where can we see your channel message? Where can we, you know, find you online, or, you know?
Well, my social media channels, I only have Twitter and Twitter and Instagram. And both of those you can find me at Sugarxndspice. It's sugar spelled normally SUGARXND spice. So it's Sugarxndspice, but instead of the A and you replace it with an X. And you can also find me under the same name on YouTube. I channel and do a lot of work with the Akashic Records on YouTube, funsies. You can find me on my website. There's a lot of free information on my blog as well, especially if you're starting out as an intuitive and, you know, kind of scared and like trying to find your niche. And that's sugarxndspice.com. You can also book a reading there, etc., etc. But yeah, I would say my socials and my website are like the #1 places. I'm still uncomfortable on camera, believe it or not. So YouTube, I just kind of do it when like I'm told to do it. But yeah, that's where you can find me. So come follow me. Let's hang out. Let's be friends. Let's do some work, etc.,
Please go
etc.
follow her. Yes. Please go follow Denisse on Twitter. It's wonderful. And then if you want to hear her voice again, just rush to the YouTube and like watch them. I love them. I love your Akashic Records interview and like all of the subjects that you speak about. You guys just go there. I will put all the links. Thank you so much, Denisse. Is there a last thing that you would like to say?
I just want to thank you. It's my first, you know, podcast experience. So I can check this one off my list of the things, you know, that I wanted to experience but hadn't yet. So I'm like, now I did it. Now I know. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to fulfill that desire in me. That was really cool. And, you know, I trust you. I love your work. You know, you are such a trusted and reliable source of healing to me personally, and I'm sure to a lot of people. So thank you. Like, yes, it very deeply resonates to be in collaboration with you. So have me back again, girl. Whatever I could do to help you, let me know, and I got you.
Thank you so much, Denisse. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good